Hey guys, MetalJesus here. Now I recently got back from the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo in Pasadena, California. And as I was walking out the door, the people running the Retrobit booth handed me a bag full of their latest and upcoming Sega game controllers for review. These are officially licensed Sega Genesis and Saturn controllers designed to be 100% built to the original quality and specifications. So let's go ahead and unbox all of these and I'll give you my first impressions. Let's take a look. Now before we get started, obviously many of us remember the larger Batwing style Genesis controller you see here. But it wasn't perfect. I mean, it only had 3 buttons, and for a lot of people, it was considered maybe a little bit too big. And so I think most people are going to be happy that Retrobit decided to base their controller on the second iteration of the Genesis controller, because that one had 6 buttons and it was smaller, and most would argue it's a little bit more comfortable. We're going to start off by taking a look at the 4 Genesis style controllers that you see here. You have 2 colors available for using with your actual Genesis game console, and then you have 2 colors if you want to use them with a USB connection. And I have to say, it's really cool that even the packaging is a throwback to the originals as well. So let's go ahead and open the first one here. So this is the black 6-button arcade pad designed to be used with the Genesis or the Sega CD. And like I mentioned in the beginning, this is not just some license deal that they did. They actually worked with Sega to try to recreate one-to-one the original controllers. And I gotta say, it's amazing. I mean, they nailed it. The build quality feels similar. The weight feels very similar to what you remember. The D-pad is amazing, and the buttons feel just right. There's also a 10-foot cord, which is awesome if you have a game room like mine. And then after we check out a couple more of these, I'm gonna plug them into the consoles and we're gonna check out some gameplay too. And these 6-button Genesis controllers only sell for 15 bucks. That's a heck of a deal. And then here's the USB one, and notice it's a little bit different because you have start and mode on the front there, but this is actually an 8-button controller because in addition to the 6 face buttons there, you also have the shoulder buttons, so you have left and right, and those feel really great. And the USB version will set you back 20 bucks. So again, not a bad deal. Now, as cool as those black ones are, and of course you had to do black because that's what the Genesis is all about, but it's awesome that they have these clear blue ones as well. So pretty much the same deal as the previous one, but again, this is that clear blue color. Look at that. That looks so awesome. It looks so 90s, right? Remember when they'd have all those consoles and iMacs that were partially see-through? Looks great. Here are the 2 Genesis style controllers back to back. So the one on the left there is the USB that has the 8 buttons. Notice the shoulder buttons on the top there. And then the one on the right is the one you would use on an original Genesis. And like I mentioned previously, I'm gonna get into some gameplay footage in a second here, and I'll give you my thoughts on what I think about using them. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about the Sega Saturn because Retrobit also has 4 of those. Now a little refresher here, because I know that the Saturn is not quite as popular in North America as the Genesis. This is the original Sega Saturn controller that was released in the US. And some love or hate it. I probably lean more towards the hate. I don't like this first gen controller for the Saturn. It's not great. And because of that, I'm very happy to report that Retrobit decided to model their controller after the second Saturn controller style, which I personally like much better. And like the Genesis controller, the D-pad feels amazing. Rolling your thumb around on it just feels completely natural like you would expect. And the face buttons are great. Just the right amount of click, just the right amount of firmness. Here we have side by side the controller for the Saturn and then also the one for USB. The regular Saturn controller starts at $20 and the USB version is $25. But I'm a sucker for colored controllers, so I was very curious to check out the slate gray version, which you see right here. Now they're calling this slate gray, but as you can see there, it's not 100% because it's, dark and gray on the outside and on the back, but then you can see straight through in the front. And I guess it's modeled after a Japanese style controller that we never got here. That's why the buttons are a different color. And then here are the two colored controllers side by side. The one on the left, of course, is the Genesis, and on the right is the Saturn. I definitely love that blue on the Genesis controller. It's so killer looking. Let's go ahead and play some games. So what we got going on here on my coffee table is the Sega CDX that is connected to the RetroTink upscaler, which then outputs via HDMI to my HD television that is set in game mode. And what I'm doing here is trying to decide if I notice any lag or if any of the buttons maybe stick or are maybe unresponsive, stuff like that. And right now I'm playing Streets of Rage, and I'm not feeling any of that. So this is exactly what I would expect, especially with a controller that is wired, right? I mean, it's straight into the console. There shouldn't be any noticeable lag, and I'm not detecting any. Also, I want to reiterate that it's really nice, again, having a 10-foot cable, because I technically could put that CDX into the entertainment center and I would still have enough room for this controller. So it's very nice for modern game rooms like mine if you need it. Retrobit did mention that they are working on 2.4 gigahertz wireless versions as well as Bluetooth versions of these controllers coming this summer. Now let's go ahead and play some Sega Saturn games. Like I mentioned previously, one of my favorite ways to test whether a controller is working or if there's lag introduced is to play an action-heavy game like a shoot 'em up. And so this is Galactic Attack running on the Saturn, one of my favorite shmups on the system. And as you can see here, I am loving it. And one of the things that this game does, I mean, obviously a lot of games do this, but you're really rolling your thumb around on that D-pad controlling your ship. And if that is off or imprecise or if it gets stuck, you would not be able to play a game like this. And I am loving it. I mean, it feels great. Here is Panzer Dragoon. This is an on-rail shooter. And what's interesting about this game is that it uses the D-pad almost like a flight game, because you are controlling your dragon as you're flying through the air here, but also you use the shoulder buttons to look around you. So you'll use those to look to the left, to the right, or behind you to shoot as you are flying and trying to take out your enemies. So that was the original game controllers connected to the real consoles, but let's go ahead and check out the USB versions connected to a PC, or in my case specifically, an iMac. So this is running OpenEMU, and obviously I'm using the Genesis version of the USB, and it works great. And this is a great game to test with, because this is obviously Contra Hardcore, a pretty intense game, and you are doing a lot of D-pad work here. This is a great test. Here is Street Fighter II Special Champion Edition. Again, this is connected via USB to my iMac. And the reason why I chose this game is because it uses all 6 face buttons. And I have to apologize here because I am terrible at fighting games. And so I had to put this down to stupid easy mode to even win a round. But I was able to test the buttons, and yeah, they work fine. There is one lesser known feature that some of you might be interested in, and that is you can switch between the D-pad input and analog input if you hold start for 5 seconds. This is especially useful for fighting games that default to the analog stick. Some people really like the Genesis and Saturn D-pads for fighting games, so it's cool Retrobit included that. All right, well, there you go. That's a quick look at the controllers. Now I want to thank Retrobit for allowing me to get early access to these. So cool. Thank you very much. Now, if you want to learn more about these, I'll put links down in the video description below, both to Amazon and also Castlemania Games. I also want to mention that Retrobit had another thing they were showing off at the expo that blew my mind, and that is they are making N64 controllers based on the third-party Hori controllers. This is great news because those Hori controllers are amazing. I bought one a couple years ago and I paid way too much for it, but Retrobit is going to release these in a bunch of different colors. We got to see them at the expo. That's going to be very cool. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and take care. At the end here, I'd like to do a huge shout out to the organizers of the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo. It was our first time coming down there, and you guys treated us so well. Also, thank you so much to the awesome people that came up and said hello. You guys were amazing. You blew our minds. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming to our panel. Thanks for shaking our hands. Thank you for having us sign stuff and the gifts that you gave. You guys are so amazing. We can't wait to come back next year and possibly bring more of the Metal Jesus crew. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.